Good morning or afternoon, our Merry Marvelites. Very excited to be back. It is Here I am. I'm Christian Blatt, joined as always by Michael Shirley.
Hey guys.
And before anything, Michael needs to show off the sweet $5 shirt he got from Walmart. This is breaking news that Walmart has this sweet domino.
Oh, not anymore. I got this like last year.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was like a new shirt. Well,
yeah,
back in the day, yeah. So, very exciting, and tying into that world is kind of the big news of the last week or so, is the fact that we're going to get a Deadpool 3. All expectations are that it's going to be rated R, and I thought a great place to start is the fact that you literally just finally watched Deadpool 2, right, Michael?
I did, and it was just by coincidence.
Yeah.
I guess it was just Mother Nature pulling me towards it so I'd be ready for today.
Well, talk a little bit about, I know the movie's from, I don't know what it is, like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago now, but I think it's, important comment from the chat. Kame Egan, super cool shirt, Michael. And Michael's like, yeah, I know.
Thank you.
I know, it's cool. Tell me what you thought overall about Deadpool 2 before we talk about Deadpool 3.
Oh, man. I really, 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 really liked it. And I was talking to you about it a little bit on the phone, Christian, how I'd already known that he would be assembling an X-Force team and that it wouldn't really go so well for him. So when I saw that, it made me want, even before I knew Deadpool 3 was going to be announced like the next day, it made me want to see him try again to assemble an X-Force team and just pick some of the other obscure random characters. I like how the characters they picked. I liked that. I don't know if Marvel was willing. I guess Marvel had to have been willing to let them meet their demise the way that they did. It was just really jarring, and I wasn't I wasn't expecting that when I heard that they kill off the whole team basically in the first part of the movie.
You expected to get to spend a little time with like Shatterstar and
so I want to see him try to assemble a new X-Force team with Domino and Cable and see how that goes. Which also I think is so funny. I ordered even before I watched the movie, like I just gotten in the mail like a couple days ago, this awesome Domino cover of X-39.
That's a pretty sweet Domino cover. Yeah, she was, I think, one of the best parts of that movie, and I hope we see her again in part 3. And, you've talked about how you feel about recasting actors. So getting to see Josh Brolin, who, of course, is Thanos, also seeing him as Cable. What did you think of that?
Well, I really, really, really love Josh Brolin. And I thought it was kind of just a slight injustice to him that you really don't get to see his, like, physicality as Thanos, and he really brought that as Cable. So, like I was telling you, I think they should just recast Thanos again and leave Josh Brolin as Cable. But I guess we don't really even have to have Thanos recasted again. But.
I think that we don't really need to get more Thanos. I think that, what with time travel and all that, they can always go visit him again. But I think this is good for Josh Brolin that he's now he's got Cable. And hopefully we get to see that, like I said, in Deadpool 3. And I mean, the news about it is really just that, I guess the Molyneux sisters from Bob's Burgers are planning to have them write it. And, there's no announcement for sure about that. There's no announcement in terms of who's going to direct, but the expectation is that it's going to be somebody new. because I guess David Leitch, who did the second one, is just really busy. So I think there could be other reasons, but according to the story, was that he's got a lot of stuff for 2021, and you got to figure a lot of people have stuff to do in 2021 that they thought they were going to do this year, in terms of movies and things like that. But let us know in the chat. I see a bunch of our friends there, how excited you are for Deadpool 3, but very important. Is there concern that they're really going to try to steer it into the like PG-13 sort of, atmosphere? You feel like they know what works about the Deadpool movies, why it's good to kind of, don't mess with it, at least not to that extent, and that character works so well if he's super violent. It's like you can't do, a broadcast TV version of the Punisher and have it, be the right fit and the right tone. And I think
unless you're Netflix.
Well, yeah, but I mean that is not a PG version. Really, that was a very violent. There was a lot of bloodshed in the Netflix Punisher series, but yeah, you certainly. And look, Dominicus Saxon chiming in. Deadpool can't work as a PG-13. I agree. I know they did. You might not even know this, Michael. They did a PG-13 edit of Deadpool called "Once Upon a Deadpool," and I did not see it.
I did not either.
Yeah, I just wanted to enjoy it. The way that Deadpool intended us to enjoy it. And also Kami Egan chiming in. "Zip it, Thanos" was my favorite line from Deadpool 2. Yeah, I mean there is always a little bit of meta, sort of self-referential stuff when it comes to the Deadpool character, going so far as to actually murder himself so that he didn't make the Green Lantern movie. I mean, there was a lot of that stuff kind of at the end of Deadpool 2, so who knows exactly what we're going to get, but the fact that I think that it was a safe bet that they would make another Deadpool movie, but the expectation might have been that they were going to do something else with the character. But yeah, I mean, look, the way that, and we'll talk about the home video release for New Mutants in a little bit, but the way that, all the Fox properties ended, Deadpool's the only one that it makes sense to continue, I mean, even if Dark Phoenix had been a successful film, you were in your third film with all of those actors and some of them fourth, so go ahead.
I will say, if you're ever gonna make more New Mutants movies, now would be the best time, because they got a captive, literally captive in a pandemic, captive audience to go out to, all these drive-in theaters and see the film. People that I think might have never seen this film in a million years. But now they've seen it, so if you put out another one, they might be invested enough to see the second one.
Yeah, I think that there would be interest, people just trying to be like, well, what exactly would that be, and I don't think it'll happen, but it makes sense.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
that movie made way more money than we would have lost in Vegas if we were gambling.
Well, it made some money the first few weeks, and technically it's still in theaters, places where theaters are open. I mean, in your multiplexes, yeah, because think about how many movies
That's
came
all
out.
That there is.
Yeah, I mean, there's, you've had a few movies come out. There's this Russell Crowe movie that seems like falling down. The Michael Douglas movie. Where he's like got road rage. You've got stuff like that. And Michael B saw it, did not like it. You're not alone. There are other people who, certainly felt that way when they saw it. But we've talked about it. We'll talk a little bit about it because it is now available in a new method, and you are having a whole second wave of people who are seeing it for the first time. People who didn't want to go to the drive-in, people who couldn't or wouldn't go to actual movie theaters. So now's the time where people can really see it, and you can rent it for like $6, on like Amazon or iTunes or something. So the idea that you can at least check it out and see what all the fuss has been about, You know, and it only took like 3 months, you know, from the time it finally comes out. And then it ended up what it was always destined to be, a home video release, you know, for New Mutants. But like I was saying, though, Deadpool's the thing that I think that, you know, people at Disney are smart enough. They're like, yeah, we're just going to keep doing those. And I do figure they would figure out a way to incorporate him into the MCU at some point when they bring mutants over. And he would probably be a little different if he was ever to be in an Avengers movie. You know, he probably wouldn't swear so much, if I just had to guess. You know, it wouldn't be quite as dirty, but you know, I don't think they would actually do a standalone Deadpool movie and have it be anything other than rated R. You know, Daniel Drew bought it. LOL. Didn't mind it as a movie. Just weird as a mutant movie. Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, since it's come up a couple times, let's just spend a moment. And, you know, for fans of old media, it is available on Blu-ray. You can go out and purchase New Mutants, and there are there's some deleted scenes. A couple of them went online. One of them that I should have sent to you, Michael, it's out there. It's Danny and Rain in Ileana's room, and they see the Lockheed sock puppet. So they kind of talk about that, you know. So any more Lockheed that you can give us, even if it's the sock puppet version, I'm certainly going to take that. You know, it's I don't know.
The sock puppet one.
Yeah. Oh, you know, I wish the movie were successful enough that they would have sold the sock puppets, you know? Yeah. You know, but
can you see him right here with us?
we should each make our own. We should actually have a third screen just for the Lockheed puppet, you know?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you know what? That's on the to-do list for December. Yeah, so let us know, anybody who is still waiting to check it out, or if you just like, you know what, I heard so many bad things. I think if you're going to go into it thinking that it's going to be terrible, you might be mildly impressed, but I do think that you have to kind of want to like it to enjoy it, you know?
Well, I'm going to buy it just so that I can see all of the scenes that were in the dark. Because as we've talked about in the show before, it was very, very difficult to make out what's going on in a lot of those scenes at the drive-in.
Yeah, no, it was not well suited for the drive-in in that sense, and I don't know anyone who saw it in an indoor movie theater, so I am interested as to whether or not it was also hard to see, or if it was just, you know, seeing it outside. But you know, the Blu-ray or getting it digitally, I guess you can imagine having to like pause the movie and just brighten your TV so that you can actually see the demon bear and what's happening, you know?
Maybe they didn't want us to see the demon bear and what was happening.
I mean, now there is there really is something to that. They really could have just kept all the deleted scenes in the movie, according to Daniel Drew. Yeah, but I mean, they were just trying to keep that thing as short as possible, you know, and they wanted to keep the pacing, you know.
I mean, I will say, Anya Joy-Taylor was so good as Ileana. I honestly couldn't have asked for a better version of her, personally. I thought she looked the role. I thought she acted the role. And she's done some major moves, like, since this movie filmed, like the Netflix show The Queen's Gambit that she stars in, just made #1, like most streamed original limited series. So I mean, you know, we're probably going to hear a lot more from her, and I think it's kind of cool that she's in this kind of dinky Marvel movie.
Yeah, I think that you're going to see her in something great. And here's the thing, too. You know, if they want to, I mean, the Deadpool movies already have Colossus in it, so why not put his sister?
Oh,
in, you know,
stop it! Oh.
Michael B. With just a quick question. I forget, how did the X-Men find Lockheed? And he's talking about it in the comics. So there's 2 times that he first appears. The first is in one of my favorite comic book stories ever written, Uncanny X-Men 153. It's called Kitty's Fairy Tale. And then there's a Jubilee's Fairy Tale in the animated series. But the Kitty's Fairy Tale, it's when Ileana is still a little girl. It's before she magically becomes a teenager. And if you don't know about that, that's your own Google. You have to go find that out for yourself. But in that story, there is, because the plane, the ship that they fly in is a Lockheed. So there is a dragon in that called Lockheed. And then a few issues later in Uncanny 166, when they're in space with the Brood, she meets the purple dragon that we all know, and she calls him Lockheed because of the big Lockheed that had been in Uncanny X-Men 153. So that is the explanation for how we get to know Lockheed. And, he's been around for ever since, and a very important part of the Kitty Pryde character. But if we hadn't gotten him up until this point, and Kitty and Ileana were always best friends in the comics. So if there was anybody that she had to share Lockheed with for the big screen, I think that Ileana made sense, and she had the sock puppet. So anyway,
do you think that could happen?
Like, sure, it could. They could do whatever they want. I mean, I think that, look, whatever positives people were saying about New Mutants, it was primarily Anna Taylor-Joy. It's her name, right? Yeah, it was her. That's
one of those combinations of those.
Yeah, it's those 3 names in some order. But so I don't see why not. I mean, it's. Oh my goodness! Who is
my
that?
Little Lockheed.
That's your
really
little
wanting attention.
Well, that could get us a 4th little box. We could have Lockheed sock puppet and the Lockheed cat. Anyway, so as time goes along, people are starting to see New Mutants. So we might have people pop in over the weeks ahead who are finally seeing it and love it, hate it, completely indifferent to it. I think it's interesting to talk about because unfortunately, in terms of the big screen, it is the only Marvel content that we're getting this year. And I mean, we're also, as we talked about in our last episode, we kind of mentioned it at the end, WandaVision is coming very soon, just a little bit later than we thought. So that's not till January 15th. So we're not getting Marvel on the small screen the way we wanted either this year. But I do recommend that people who have Disney Plus check out Marvel 616, which is it's like a documentary series. And I have only seen the first one, but the first one is about Japanese Spider-Man. And Michael, are you familiar at all with the Japanese series? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the Japanese Spider-Man from the late 70s, and they explain it just like, oh yeah, you know what? The way that Spider-Man wasn't going to work out. Actual Marvel Spider-Man comics just wouldn't work for the Japanese audiences because they were for children. And, they make the comparison that if you look at Japanese comic books, manga, it's a lot of pictures, very few words. You look at American comic books, it's a ton of words. It's a lot to read. So this show, the Japanese Spider-Man, which is just called Spider-Man there. They don't have to call it Japanese Spider-Man. Apparently, Stan Lee thought it was great. He's like, yeah, it's like a comic book come to life, And there's no Peter Parker. The only thing in it is that his costume is 100%. Well, I guess it's not 100% accurate because he has this like bracelet that he wears, but the costume looks right. And that was the one thing that they insisted, And so there was all these toys, all the marketing, all this kind of stuff. And you have all of that, and it's there's also a giant robot, and it's the first time that anybody came up with a spaceship that transformed. So, and this show, I mean, it lasted a year. It was incredibly popular. I don't know. They did like 50 episodes over the course of a year, which is it's crazy. But they talk about the budgets on it. They talk about the impact it had. How you ended up with shows like Power Rangers, basically because of that. Because that show worked so well, the combination of live action superhero and robots and all that stuff. And I think that the most impressive thing is they talk about the stunts that the stuntman did and just how incredibly dangerous that show looks like it was. They were just like, yeah, we wouldn't be able to do it now. You know, it's like, oh yeah, he climbed up Tokyo Tower and he didn't have a rope. He didn't go all the way up. He just went up a little bit, but still. And you know, it's a lot of like, yeah, well, you know, there's always a rope, but there weren't like the harnesses, you know, the whatever they used for stunt performers back in the 70s, they didn't have that either. So it's a very interesting show, I think. And I know they're all very different, but I was very excited to see that the first one was going to be about Japanese Spider-Man, which I think people didn't really know about in the US, but as they mentioned in this episode of 616, that I guess they put all the episodes online in 2009. That was the first time people found it. And it couldn't be less Spider-Man, but it was kind of sweet because everybody who worked the show, they clearly hadn't talked about it in a while. People weren't asking them about it, but they were all really proud to be involved in it. You know, the guy who's the main character, it hadn't really been an actor before that, so he was just excited to get the chance to do it. So I recommend that. But if you don't have Disney Plus right now and you're waiting for WandaVision like some people, just go on YouTube and watch some Japanese Spider-Man and just see how crazy it is. You know, Spider-Man versus you know, beloved villains like Dr. Monster and that kind of stuff.
Doesn't he have like a really cool like car too? He like drives.
Oh yeah, yeah. He had a car, and he had a ship that was called like the Marvelite or the Marvel something, the Marveler, I think. And then there was like a robot, kind of like a you know, a Voltron sort of robot, you know, like a robot from any of those shows. So yeah, and they didn't try to keep it like that. And they talk about how like the executives from Marvel, you know, from the parent company that came over, they were all upset. But then Stan was like, yeah, but this is great. I love this. You know, it's got to be different, you know. So, you know, and it was very popular. But the company that did it, you know, they had to license Spider-Man from Marvel. So they wanted to just make shows with characters they actually own. And yeah, Daniel Drew makes a point. They talk about it in the episode that you get Transformers happening because of this ship that transforms, and they, you know, they hadn't done that before. You hadn't seen it, so you get Transformers, you get Power Rangers. So you know, it's kind of like you know, is it a great show? No, but I'm going to say it's probably more entertaining than the live action Spider-Man American TV series. And they watched kind of the quote unquote movie for that before they did that show, and the guy who did all the stunts and the, you know, that was just, he was upset that in the American one, Spider-Man didn't really crawl on walls and do all the things that he's supposed to. He didn't, you know, he didn't swing around on his webs much at all. So they were just like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll just do it in an incredibly unsafe manner. But I definitely I definitely recommend that to anybody who has it. But like I said, just if you don't have it, you can just Google. I guarantee if you do a YouTube search right now of Japanese Spider-Man, you'll probably find it right away. You know. So anyway, but it's fun. It's just crazy, you know. And you know, maybe we'll see him in an upcoming Spider-Verse. And yeah, Michael B makes the point. The American version was pretty sad. Yeah, it's Nicholas Hammond, our first on-screen live-action Peter Parker. So I do hope we see him in Multiverse of Madness in some way. And if they're able to give us the Spider-Man car from Japanese Spider-Man in Multiverse of Madness, you know, what else do I need? You know, either Spider-Verse or something. You know, I guess it's Spider-Man 3 that's going to have Doctor Strange in it. So you know, if they want to show us all these alternate Spideys, that's what I'm certainly up for. You know, I don't know what's out of all the variations, you know, that we saw in like Spider-Verse. Do you have a favorite alternate Spidey? I like Spider-Man Noir. That's kind of an interesting one, voiced by Nicolas Cage, of course.
Yeah, I like Spider, like the robot.
Oh, and that's like with the little girl, right?
The girl, yeah.
Yeah.
Penny
Yeah.
Parker.
Yeah, exactly. That's that's a great one too. So the other news that we're getting, and we're not really getting much about it, but they're planning on shooting Black Panther 2, filming Black Panther 2 in July. Obviously, a lot of script changes. Shuri is going to be, more of a central character, but when you think about the fact that, obviously they're not going to have Chadwick Boseman, and I don't know if they're going to do anything where like they have existing footage where they're going to have, something where he dies, or they're going to start where he's already passed away. Obviously we have no idea of that, but what do you think, Michael, would be the best way to handle, the fact that you're going to continue making Black Panther movies, but you're not going to have the guy that we all know as Black Panther?
Well, I have a theory I've told you before, and it's kind of going down a long, crazy rabbit hole, but to sum it up, I think she's going to assume the mantle, and it's going to kind of be like an homage to the very first time we met Black Panther, when his dad dies in the explosion. I think we're going to see something like that happen. But I think because of a lot of things that I've read, that Storm was going to be a really big part of the new X-Men franchise they were doing, and that they were going to work in a romance with Black Panther. I see them going down that rabbit hole, maybe with Shuri, and seeing maybe Storm come from Wakanda, and maybe instead of the original Black Panther and Storm having a relationship, maybe we see a lesbian Black Panther relationship with Storm and Shuri. But that's just me, trying to imagine how they're going to work the X-Men in and tie them in with all the other characters and make them work. And I don't know, it just all kind of makes sense to me given just the Black Panther storyline in the comic books. Shuri becomes the Black Panther, and I don't think there's really any way around it. And I want to think that the fans are going to be really behind this rendition of the character, given the strong response to the original film and how much, Hollywood and the media and just America really, really liked and appreciated all the great things Chadwick Boseman has done, aside from just being the character.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see the franchise continue and go strong.
I think the same. So here's Michael B. thinks they're going to recast the role. I don't think they're going to recast T'Challa. I do think someone else will be in the Black Panther suit.
They'll just get Don Cheadle to do it.
I mean, that
he just steps in for everyone.
He just replaces everyone. How do you think the MCU will explain the departure of T'Challa? That's kind of what we're talking about. And Daniel Drew feels pretty confident that Shuri will be Black Panther. There's no way she won't. I agree. I don't think they'll recast T'Challa. I think either it's Shuri. I just don't think that, that they should do something like, oh, wait, yeah, there's our cousin that we never told you about. And, he's been away for a while, but now he wants to be Black Panther. I think that, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the character, like Michael's saying, the character of Shuri is so popular, the comic book version, but also on screen, people really responded well to her, that I feel pretty confident that they would be able to do it. Now, I think that they would probably be a little worried from a box office standpoint. They would probably put somebody else in it, one of our favorite Avenger characters as part of the adventure. I don't know who that would be, but I could see them not having it be quite as much of a standalone film as the first one was. I think it'd be a little bit more of an Avengers movie. You might put a couple of friends in there just to make sure that everybody wants to come and check it out. Cami Egan says, I heard the Hollywood Report say Tena Huerta is going to be in Black Panther 2. There's a lot of talk about Namor being in that, and that was something, long before we heard about the passing of Chadwick Boseman before I think there was even quarantine. The idea of having sorry, I was reading the chat too much, but the idea of having Namor in the movies. And
so is it Namor or is it Namor?
I always heard Namor, the Submariner, but
I've heard both, and I don't know.
And there's his cousin Namorita. She was one of the new warriors. I think Bucky could be in it for sure. I mean, that would make sense. And we could also see Falcon. But Dominicus Saxon, this was the one that distracted me. Cousin Oliver comes in as Black Panther. That's sort of what I was thinking. The kind of the Brady Bunch explanation of, Daniel Drew says, nah, he's busy with Sam. But I could see them both being in it because, by that point, the Falcon Winter Soldier series will have aired. So... and it could very well tie into that. I mean, I think we're, because this whole year has pushed back into 2021 and beyond, I think we're a number of years away from an Avengers movie, So I think
I'm fine with that.
No, I am too, but I think that because of that, they're going to kind of cross-pollinate the movies with some of the different characters. I think you're going to, the fact that we already know Doctor Strange is going to be in Spider-Man 3, So I think that it's going to be very common. What I think will be uncommon is kind of this standalone movie. I mean, even Captain Marvel had Nick Fury in it, So
that's how comic books are.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's the best part of it, It's look, a lot of team ups and crossovers turned into marketing and sales ploys, but it would be interesting, when a book that sold really well, like the X-Men, like had Spider-Man in it, because they weren't doing it because they're like, oh, we're going to sell some more of them, When the Fantastic Four had Wolverine, Ghost Rider, and I forget who that combination was. That was just done for sales, but I did always like the crossovers where it made sense. And sometimes just the cameos, like in the Dark Phoenix saga, there's a moment where, you're just getting reactions from around the universe, superheroes in New York, Silver Surfer notices like, it's just like, these big things that happen. How are you expecting not everybody to notice them? So I think that I would like to see all of that. And I think that that's what we're going to get, But there was somebody had the comment in the chat because I wanted to talk about WandaVision. That WandaVision, the idea is that it'll be the start. Yeah, here it is. Daniel Drew, of course. WandaVision is the beginning of phase 4. Technically, at this point, we don't have anything that's phase 4. It is the next thing we're going to get in January. So, yeah, it's going to tie into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So I think it's safe to say that is officially the start of phase 4. And even though it's a flashback movie, I do think that the story in Black Widow will be important for whatever happens, no pun intended, for phase 4. Thank you. So I think, because those are basically what we're going to get next year in the first half of the year. We might get Falcon and Winter Soldier by next summer. So all that stuff, I think, is going to be setting the foundation for what we're going to get in phase 4, which will include stuff like Shang-Chi and Eternals, so it's going to have some very different stuff. And it's going to really incorporate TV for the first time, because not anything that happened on TV before, much to the chagrin of fans of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it wasn't really part of what they were doing. You had characters show up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the early seasons. You had Nick Fury there. You had Maria Hill. You had some other stuff. You had the events of the movies were definitely impacting the show, but it didn't tie into it in the same way. I feel like if you don't watch WandaVision, you're going to be confused about the character when you see her in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Like, I think that these Disney Plus shows are going to be just as important as making sure you catch all the movies, So according to, there's an interview with Empire magazine, which is in the UK. Kevin Feige was talking about how in WandaVision, characters will speak to the camera like they do in shows like The Office and Modern Family. Now, I took that to mean that in the way that the show is going to kind of play with the conventions of television, you know, we saw from the very first trailer, it had these like sitcom sets. She's running through these familiar looking sitcom houses. So I think maybe as part of it in an episode, I think they might be doing it. If they did that style where they talked to the camera throughout the entire show, Michael, what would that do to your enjoyment level of it?
I don't think that to me, it seems like different episodes are going to be themed, and I only think that's gonna be done where it's appropriate or makes sense. Like, I don't think we're gonna see like the '50s sitcom have like confessionals.
Yeah, I think you're going to have some very different feels. You're going to have, you know, a lot of the black and white sort of, you know, Dick Van Dyke, you know, Donna Reed, that look for what those sitcom families look like. You know, the way her hair is, the way that we see Paul Bettany. But you definitely see, you know, some stuff that's definitely like the Brady Bunch house. You know, there's a vibe for a show near and dear to Michael and my heart. There's a, you know, a kitchen that looks like the kitchen on Roseanne, you know, from the 80s and into the 90s. So I think that this is just another way that they're going to play with the medium of television. Yeah, yes, it's going to be on television, but it's called WandaVision for a reason, you know?
Yeah, well, if you think about shows like Modern Family, that's the modern day sitcom has, you know, that kind of confessional reality show vibe, and I think that makes, you know, a lot of sense if they're throwing in all these different like genres of television being a jumping off point for themes.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and it just makes it that much more exciting. You know, when they gave us the release date, it wasn't that upsetting because it's only like 3 weeks after where we thought it was going to be. You know, I think a lot of us thought it would premiere on Christmas, the week after the Mandalorian ends, and they were just like, yeah, let's just kick it into the new year. Let's have 2021 be the year of Phase 4. Cami Egan with a great question. Could Wanda be the villain in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? Seeing what her true powers are capable of in that movie would be pretty cool. I mean, if she were to, you know, wander away from the path of being an Avenger, she would be a very formidable adversary for, well, really for all the Avengers. You know, I mean, we
accidental villain.
Yeah, you saw that the only way that Thanos was able to get away from her in Endgame was to basically nuke his entire fleet. You know, he had to like basically destroy most of his army to knock her down. You know, that, you know, because he just didn't have it in him. You know, so
also in the comics, she also, you know, she's been the bad guy before.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she was in the original
a big problem.
Yeah, in the original X-Men #1 from 1963, she and her brother Quicksilver are members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. You know, I mean,
#4.
She's not a #1?
No, she's introduced to #4, which Marvel actually just this month did a reissue of, and I just got it.
Is it one of those ones where they like reprint everything, including the ads?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like when they do those. I've seen some of those, and I'm obviously, Michael, I wasn't doubting you. I just wanted to find the cover so that
she's actually wearing green.
Yeah, I know. I was very really distracted by that, actually. I think that's kind of interesting, but yeah, it's not full screen, but you can see it right there from the Marvel website. You know,
she looks more like her sister Polaris.
Well, I mean, she also kind of looks like, if you take the mask away, she looks like Betty Brant, J. Jonah Jameson's secretary, and you know, somebody that was a love interest for Peter Parker at one point. But yeah, so yeah, well, there you go. But see, that so that just pushes off what I said by a few months. The character was a villain when it started, just like Hawkeye was, and I think that those characters can become interesting when you sort of deal with that. So to kind of take Wanda and have her go the other way, where maybe the loss of Vision is just something that she can't handle and she just lashes out in a way. I think that could it could be very interesting. If
also Mday, I mean, she's very emotional. I mean, they've always made it seem like Magneto's two daughters are really emotionally unstable.
Yeah, but Quicksilver's just fast.
He's too fast for all that.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have any time. In any case, so there's a lot of talk in the chat where people are still kind of talking about the idea of T'Challa being recast. And look, do I think it's impossible? Absolutely not. I just think that they've kind of spoken to it, that's not what they're planning to do. I think that they will put someone in the Black Panther suit. I think that Shuri might be in the Black Panther suit, but she also might be in a different suit, and there might be somebody else, do you go to a female Black Panther and then have to worry about, marketing and toys and all that stuff? What? Because look, it's Disney, and you could sell twice as many. What's what I'm saying? You could sell twice as many if you did that, So
it makes sense with Marvel's current continuity.
Yeah.
I think that's a no-brainer. I don't think we're going to actually see the Black Panther and Black Panther 2 until like the last 20, 30 minutes.
Wow. But you think it'll be Shuri the whole time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do agree.
I think they're going to be figuring out what are we going to do without him the whole movie, and then she's just going to be like, screw this, and she's going to put on the suit.
Yeah, no, I think that, it's almost like, oh, we're looking for somebody. And it's like, well, she's like, well, I'm right here, so
it's just me though.
Yeah, no, I know. But, Michael, before we wind down, I remember before we started, you said you had some goodies with you today. Wow.
That's my little white panther.
That White Panther, wants to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Yeah. Wow. He knows. Wow. That he's nowhere near the microphone, and he's louder than I am. No, I look, I love that he's with us. I can't believe this is the first time he's been on the show. So
he's just always sitting beside me because he will just scream if I lock him downstairs. But today he is just full of himself.
Yeah. Did you bring any other than the domino cover? Did you bring any goodies to show?
I did.
Yeah, well, that's
why I did. I've got on the topics that we were talking about today. Scarlet Witch number 12, which I really, really just adored that cover, and just recently I got this one to match it. Same artist.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Really,
and when is that?
Cool
when is that Scarlet Witch one from? Those are both really cool.
The Scarlet Witch one, I am not quite. This is from her solo series that she had. I'd say probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
All of the covers are in black, white, and red, solid. And I just really loved this one. And you know how I am about a cover. I just have to have a good cover. And it's when I found this one that matched it, I was just like, oh, heaven. Love to have these types of things displayed. Like all of my comic books that I've gotten are red recently. I don't know why. And this is one that I got in the mail yesterday that I'm really, really excited about.
Oh, I remember that one. Yeah, that's that's from when I was still collecting. What is that? What issue number is that? Is it like in the 20s or little cat?
X-Men 24.
24. Yeah. Okay, I remember that. Yeah. there's the tail. Yeah, exactly. So in any case, I didn't bring my goodies today, but in our final moment, I did want to talk about, there is and I think Michael, you and I have traded, images of it before, but there is this big ticket Marvel item that's like $200 that they're taking pre-orders on. It's this Marvel made Paragon collection.
Chris Claremont Bible.
Yeah, and it's got like a bunch. I mean, look at the size of this thing, and it comes in this box, and one of the things that they have to entice you is this Days of Future Past like prequel story that Chris Claremont did with Salvador LaRocca. Now, this obviously is Uncanny X-Men 137 when the Phoenix dies. I almost said when Jean Grey dies, but that would be inaccurate. So there's this essentially Uncanny X-Men 140 and a half is what they're calling that. So it's a brand new story that you can only get for the $200 for that thing. And I mean, it looks really cool. I'm not saying it doesn't, and
maybe in 10 years, they'll just do a release of the story by itself.
Yeah, I think at some point they'll probably let you read it, maybe just digitally or something. But they're still taking pre-orders until I guess next Friday. They have to have, I think, 1,200 pre-orders, or they just won't make it. So
is that what's going on with my book on Amazon?
Is there a book that you're expecting to get from Amazon?
Yeah, I canceled it because it has been like 4 months since it was supposed to come out.
Oh, is it Marvel related or?
It is not.
Oh,
I just
okay.
didn't know if there was a thing of that like Amazon had about books.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, just stuff doesn't come out when it's supposed to. But I mean, this is like they're only going to produce it if they get 1,200. And,
I'm sure they'll get 1,200.
Well, yeah, they're I don't know if I can find it, easily without, wasting too much time on the show. But I did look at it and they were at like 800 or so, so they're not that far off. But I mean, if they I guess if they don't reach it, but then it's at some point, what if they're at like, I don't know, 1,180? Is just somebody going to be like, great, I'm just going to buy 20 of them so that we can actually make this thing?
I think I think a Marvel executive would just make that happen.
Yeah, I think that they would they would figure it out. But also maybe they've already gotten 12 pre-orders, or 1,200, sorry. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that it's out there, but you have to really, you have to really want it. And I think, look, a lot of us have all those stories in there, except for the new Days of Future Past. But yeah, so it retails at $199. But Michael,
that Phoenix!
I was gonna say, how about that Dark Phoenix action figure?
Do you know how hard that character was to get your hands on? The green one back in the day when I was like 7 or 8. I cannot tell you.
Oh, the regular Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, the action figure. I cannot tell you the links my parents went to find that for me.
So currently they have, right now as we're looking at it on Wednesday, November 25th, just before 11 a.m. Pacific time, they have 967 pre-orders. They only need to sell 233 more, but they do have to do it by next Friday. So,
Black Friday, everyone's going to be shopping. I'm sure they're going to do some sales, even if it's not on sale for Black Friday. A lot of people just like to do their shopping and get it out of the way.
Yeah. And Michael B asks if it's signed. It definitely looked like they signed it. I think for $200, they're going to have him sign it. He's going to go into a room and he's going to sign all of them, and he'll probably inscribe it and all of that. Some of us already, some of us already have a lot of signatures from him, but what we don't have is a $200 leather bound book up on the shelf that includes a brand new story. But he's also got a 50th anniversary kind of a salute to him that's coming out in mid-December. and there's going to be an ongoing, I think it's called X-Men Legends series, where it's going to be, he's not going to write every issue, but he's going to, you know, be in the rotation, just telling X-Men stories from various points in their history, you know. So he's got a lot going on, and that seems to be the big thing that he's focused on, Marvel's focused on. And I think obviously this kind of makes sense, that collecting these stories, and then if it does well, then, you know, there's a lot of other, you know, you can imagine what the Spider-Man one would be that they would want to do, you know, and just, you know, all the A-list characters, you know. I mean, if you collected like the best Captain America stories, or, well, he's not as much of a seller, but I mean, you know, the Daredevil stories you could tell with Elektra, you know. I mean, I can see them doing all of that. And Cami Egan, you said it perfectly. That is one fantastic looking collector's edition, but is it $200 fantastic looking? That's the question to everyone out there. Let us know if you're watching live, or if you're watching the archive version. Always leave comments in the chat. So Michael, as we wind down now, what do you and Lockheed have planned for Thanksgiving? Which he seems like he's ready for it to start now from all the crying.
I am making dinner for my mother and my dad, and that's it. Just
no, that's good.
Closing off, shutting down.
But that sounds like the way to do it. Yeah, we're gonna go to my wife's parents, who we see all the time, just down in Orange County, and her sister, whom we also see all the time. But it's just sort of like basically my wife's immediate family and all the hangers-on like me who married into it, and the kids, you know. So that'll be fun.
You call yourself a hanger-on when you marry someone and have 2 children with them.
Yeah, you know, look, I'm just I'm a professional coattail rider. That's all I know how to do, you know. And Michael B has it perfectly. Turkey and a long nap. Yeah, the long nap is kind of the best part, I think. You know, I remember a point when I was younger, my mom had read somewhere that you should go for a nice long walk afterwards. But, you know, in New York in late November, you usually don't want to go take a nice long walk after eating all that turkey. The nap is really where it's at. But whatever everybody ends up doing, I do hope that they have a happy Thanksgiving, and a happy, safe, and very important, delicious. We will be back, I believe, next week. Who knows what we'll have to talk about at that point. I'm going to plan to watch some more of Marvel's 616. And again, anybody who has Disney Plus, at the very least, watch the Japanese Spider-Man one. That one was so much fun. Michael, if people want to keep in touch with you and the Lockheed that we saw on camera before, how do they do that?
You guys can find me on Instagram at I Hate Michael Shirley, and on Twitter at Michael X Shirley.
That's right. And that's one X you don't have to spend $200 for. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Christian DMZ. And if you're watching this show on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube. You'll see this show. You'll see the after shows that we do for Star Trek Discovery and Star Wars's Mandalorian. We also we have a political show called The Trump Report for now. At some point,
it's going to be happened with that.
I actually tried really hard to come up with a new name for this week. I asked the other panelists, and none of us came up with anything. So we're like, all right, so it's still that for a little bit longer until we come up with a better name. But also, of course, if you do subscribe to the Bladtcast Network, BLADTCAST, you can get the actual titular show. There's Lockheed. The Bladtcast, you can find it there. But that's all the time we have for now. I'll leave it with this advice from Cami Egan: gobble till you wobble, Marvelites. And as the